What's the number one challenge for businesses today?
Workforce development, attracting, recruiting, and retaining people.
And that's why we created this podcast, designed for the frustrated CEO, the under-resourced recruiter, or the overworked manager, to give you the tools to tackle those WTF moments.
It's time to open another Workforce Therapy file.
Welcome back to the Workforce Therapy Files. This is part 2 of our Future of Work conversation, where we are going really off script here and asking AI to tell us what to talk about. So we started last episode where we talked about a couple of things that AI sees as challenges in the future of work. We spoke specifically about remote work, AI, and automation.
Which ironically AI thought was a great idea.
You know,
AI.
it feels very much like a little...
Speaking on behalf of itself.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
It specifically said it could do anything. I don't know if y'all heard that part, but it did. All right, so here's the next one. You ready for number 3?
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right. The gig economy is booming. You can now be an Uber driver, a dog walker, and a podcast host. It really is paying attention to me. All in the same day. Who says you can't have it all? So gig economy. Like to hear a little bit about what you guys think around the future of work as it pertains to gig economy. Is this a growing space that we see emerging? Do you see more contractors? Do you see more picking up a couple gigs here and there? Are you guys door dashing? Talk to me about it.
Well, I don't think everyone is equipped to be a business owner or a business runner.
That's right.
And I think a lot of people step into that and they find that out when it's too late and they've ditched their job and they've changed their life. I'm not saying don't try something. But, you know, one thing that worked for me is I dabbled on the side while I was in the corporate world. So I was starting little companies, spinning them off. I sold one, you know, trying some things and I learned a lot from it. So, you know, I think the gig economy is fantastic. I use it. I use it to find talent, outsource opportunities. But I would say a cautionary tale that, you know, it's not for everyone.
No.
And so be careful stepping into it. Unless you love to send invoices, have hard conversations.
Not get paid for your work.
Not get paid for your work, get paid late. You know, all those things are hurdles that can be overcome and addressed. But, you know, just I see the gig economy as a thing that is not going away. It's never not been here. It's always been part of our lives. That's just more so. And I think it's part of the future of work. But I just think there are challenges around that.
Absolutely. I remember when my dad went into retirement, he decided not to fully retire. He was a substitute janitor for the city schools where I grew up. And I remember being like, this was not the kind of work that he did normally. So I was very confused. And he answered that with, I get to decide if that morning I want to work or if I want to go fishing. You know, because they call me with options. And I'm not going to do anything there that I don't have to do at home. So that worked for him. So I think to Jason's point, you got to find, if you decide to explore the gig economy or if you want to use gig workers, you have to understand that you don't have any continuity of the talent. You don't have somebody that you can spend a lot of time, energy, or effort in training. So you got to be really confident in what it is that you're bringing into your business in terms of gig workers.
Yeah. I think there's a filter for the quality of that work. And is it a permanent solution? You know, you can outsource things to organizations that have an infrastructure. That's one thing. But outsourcing something to a person who's trying something for a little while is a different thing. Yeah. That's not a stable environment if it's an important task.
I think for gig work, it's definitely going to be on the rise for structured individuals, right? So there is a software called Gig Work. And you can go find a gig to work just for that time, for that project, for that season, whatever it is. And you put in your time just like you would if you were an employee to this company called Gig Work. Now, for things like that, 100%. For the Ubers, the Lyfts, the grocery delivery, the Uber Eats, for those types of gig work, I think that those will continue to be a supplemental income for those or a transitional income. many of the individuals, if you do have conversations with them, I know I'm that nerd life recruiter. How long have you been doing this? Why'd you start doing this? Do you think you're going to continue?
Cue every Uber drive I've ever taken and why I don't think I have 5 stars. You know what I mean? That's why I think it is. It's not because I'm not a tipper, because I'm a tipper.
Yeah, but you ask a lot of questions.
But I ask a
Jamie's
lot
the
of
one that
questions.
sits up front
I do not sit up front.
and says, "Ooh, is that a picture of your dog?
Tell me about your dog.
Tell me about your dog.
Yeah.
Why did you pick this car?"
Yeah.
Okay,
How
I
long
don't
have
go
you
that
lived-
granular.
How long have you lived in Portland?
And they go,
This is my second job. I've already worked 50 hours this week, lady.
"Could I
Yeah.
just drop you off at the airport like we agreed to in the app?"
Absolutely.
So, full circle, I do believe that gig work is on the rise, but it'll be definitely generational, and it'll definitely be situational. But I believe a lot of it has to do with the age.
Good one, AI. Thanks for
good
that
one.
bullet
Yeah.
point.
All right, here's number 4. And keep in mind, Molly and Jason do not know what I'm going to talk to them about. All right, so here's the next one. With technology moving faster than your aunt's Facebook updates, we all have to learn new skills. So if your weekend plans include learning Python, just know you're doing great, sweetie. The topic here is reskilling. So it is, the way I think about this term is those opportunities that you can go online and you can find these like nuggets that you can learn, like in LinkedIn Learning. You see that kind of stuff. There are college websites where you can go and take a 6-week course for free that you can pull off. Do you see those types of things continuing to be part of development plans, how people prepare for work? I feel like a couple of years ago, there was a lot of discussion about whether or not individuals would continue to pursue college education or would they go and pursue what they needed to do the kind of work that they wanted to do. I'd like to hear your thoughts about that.
That's a good one. I think it's interesting that it, like in the script here, it mentioned Python, which
Yeah,
is
that's what it
coding.
says.
I was going to say, does everyone know what Python is?
Python is a coding language. And so I think the interesting thing is there are AI tools that you can now tell it to write, code this in Python and I want it to do this thing. So again, I think AI is a little bit like, hey, no, don't worry about it. I can do this for you.
I got you, boo.
Yeah, I see what you're doing there, AI.
Yeah, we're skeptical.
Yeah.
We're of the skeptic generation.
We are, but I think that goes back to point 3, the gig economy. Yeah, I mean, I think people are going to, I think that's better for the workforce, honestly, if people can choose to specialize. I don't think the traditional path through education is right. People say for everyone. It is not right for everyone. We know that by this point. The traditional path through education is a straight line when we know life doesn't work that way. So I think for younger people coming into the workforce, this economy, this reality around technology and innovation is a time where you can kind of pick the path you want and customize a lifestyle in front of you. But you have to be brave enough to do that. So.
But isn't that the case for the way I know several people that work that way today.
Yeah.
They'll go do the Amazon or the Zappos or whatever for August through January, make a boatload of money, and then take a few months off, and that's how they want to live. But I think a lot of it has to do with insurance, health insurance. You can stay on your folks until you're 26. So I think a lot of that demographic falls in that category of people that can have the flexibility of life that I couldn't have when I was that age.
I think addressing employers have to look out for this because employees are going to want they're going to have another option other than going into a traditional 9-to-5 job, sitting at a desk. They will have options. Not to say those options are better, but they have options. So know that this is a potential threat or a competitor to your workforce development.
And should be considered in your workforce planning.
Yeah.
The thing I'm going to bring us back to the topic of reskilling for a second.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. You guys, I like your journeys. But there is this piece that I think are important cautionary tales because technology is advancing faster than collegiate programs. We're going to have to make space for training more than what we probably did previously. 20 years of experience is going to mean the same thing for several industries as what it used to, because the technology to do that kind of work is going to shift and change and adjust. Even what it meant to do mechanics in distribution facilities. Because I'm an HR nerd and these are the kinds of conversations I have when I'm casually socializing. I was recently at a restaurant, got into an entire conversation about somebody who's in a maintenance function for a distribution warehouse. And he talked about how he's had to go and learn robotics because most of what they're doing maintenance on now are robotic arms versus what it used to be were gears and conveyor belts, right? That was what they were focused on. And how much that's shifted. So I think this reskilling piece and making sure that organizations create significant learning and development investments so that they can keep up, because you're not going to be able to go and hire for it. Well, that gap's going to exist, right? You're going to have to.
And I think to the point Molly and I were making, at which we're going on a really weird little side path to get there, but was that, if you don't reskill your workforce, they're going to go out and figure something else out.
Yeah.
So
and I think those that own, I call it leveling up. Mm-hmm. So even in the gig economy, I feel like I need to go out and find the skills that people are looking for in the jobs that I'm seeing posted. What do I need to go out and learn that skill set? How do I do that so I can sell myself better? But I also know that there are others that need that path mapped out for them as opposed to going and finding it yourself. But there are tools here locally in the Louisville, Kentucky area through our public school system. There's Jefferson County Adult Education, and there are tons of classes on there that you can take. I mean, I remember a few years back, I just wanted to get back into art, and I took a night class, and it was like $240 for 2 months. And I just went in. It was a group of people. The supplies were there. I know it sounds corny, but it was just something easy and quick. But they have all kinds of classes.
Why would that sound corny?
QuickBooks. I don't know. Work. Yeah. No. Picasso, you'll see it later.
Absolutely. So the cool thing is that our AI friend here also created some industry-specific call-outs. So I'm going to go through these relatively quickly. If there's anything that you want to chime in and go deeper into, then pause.
Let's hear it.
Let me know. All right, so the first one says healthcare. Doctors are now consulting patients via webcam, which is great news for anyone who's ever wanted to say into their laptop.
Good one, AI.
It's such a good joke. Keep in mind, I did ask AI to be funny, so you can decide whether or not that was successful. Education. Online classes mean that kids can mute their teachers and learn independently or watch TikToks. Who's to say? Now, I will tell you that there are a couple of TikTok. We have now hit a point. My daughter is 14. We have now hit a point where her math homework has surpassed my math capabilities. Absolutely. So we have used TikTok to go and find clever ways to dive into a topic. And they're quick, right? They're only like 3 minutes or less. So it's a parent hot tip. But yeah, in education, I think that this point, though, brings it up also for companies that we're going to have to create content in ways people consume. And having people sit through long conversations or long meetings or long trainings probably isn't going to be the way for us to get certain things going. So for the future of work, I think there are opportunities to do TikTok-like videos to help. Please don't dance. I don't think that's necessary for corporate content.
I disagree. I think dancing is very demonstrative. It can help people pay attention.
You like it?
Yeah.
What was the word you just used?
Demonstrative. She said demonstrative.
I thought she said Jumanji or something.
What?
I don't know.
Does that word start with a D or a J?
I don't know. Jumanji? I don't know.
Is that like
you think dancing? You think dancing? I want to see your TikTok dances before I hear you recommend it. You know what I mean?
I don't know that.
Oh, I am a total Elaine. We can jam out.
I cannot wait
you
to
do
see
the ticking and the talking?
Yes.
I love TikTok. Okay. I'm not even
Jamie definitely does.
Yes, for sure. I'm going to start sending you TikToks. Okay.
Here we go.
Retail and manufacturing. Robots in manufacturing. Good news for efficiency, bad news for that one guy who always steals an extra 5 minutes on his coffee break. That's what AI says. Here's the thing about
But
robots.
that's why they're going to robots.
So I used to work in distribution, right? And I remember when employees had to walk 11 miles in a shift. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when was the last time you walked 11 miles a day? Is that something that you have ever done in your life? Because that's not something I have ever done. You could look at me and know that I'm not walking 11 miles a day.
I'm trying to think.
I've done it.
I don't
But not for
For
standing.
sustained, like for 40 hours a week?
I mean,
11
if you
miles
stand,
a day? 44 miles a
wouldn't be
week?
the same. Like standing in a job, the physical activity of a job.
Right.
I wonder.
I guess my point is that I do feel like robotics have made work more ergonomic. They have made it to where people can work longer because there's only so long you can sustain heavy lifting and incredible body mechanics or things like that. So I think that robotics absolutely have a place in manufacturing and distribution. Retail, I don't know
I would
that
be freaked out.
Well, retail it already kind of exists though with self-checkout and the number of things that have been made.
Oh, yes.
You know,
I thought you were talking about like a customer service representative at Claire's waiting on me.
well, there was one company I worked with that we had a virtual receptionist. So you walked in and there was a screen and it greeted you and you put in your information about who you were there to see and it
Like
rang
Fred
them.
at the fair?
Yes, like Fred at the fair. Sorry, it took me a minute to remember who Fred at the fair was, but yes. Yeah.
That's
So,
crazy.
I mean, yeah. Very different.
I would try to mess with them.
yeah. I agree.
I see myself going down that path.
Just to prove that it's not a good idea.
Do you guys think that there's
Like hit all the buttons, notify everyone that Molly's
Look,
there.
it's like a tree.
We talked about this in the last episode about the way out future. You know, the
10 years,
the
is it?
Jetsons, the
Yeah.
Jetsons future. Do you guys think there is a Jetsons future out there somewhere, and we'll all have a universal basic income, and we'll just get a check, and somebody else will do our work?
I do, but I don't know if it'll be in our lifetime.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty old, but what about for the younger listeners?
You say we're old? I say I'm in my prime.
You're in your prime. You are in your prime. That's
Okay.
true. Optimus Prime.
Okay. So the next item on here, going to the next topic, is finance. So it says fintech, blockchain, NFTs. No one knows what these things are, but apparently they're the future,
I
and
do.
you'll have to talk about them at the next holiday dinner.
It's like Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep moving because I don't know that anybody wants us to talk
No, I'm
about
good.
blockchain or NFTs.
Oh,
Did you
come
want to?
on,
You were
come
ready,
on.
Jason?
What's the?
It's just talking about how the future is changing around finance. I do think that modeling is definitely available. Like you can model your portfolio in a way that wasn't available to you outside of an advisor previously.
Yeah.
There's those kinds of things.
I'll say this as just an example. We have considered in the past at my company incenting employees by bonusing them with, Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So not everybody, it's like you don't want to force someone into taking Swiss francs because that's what you want to give them. Oh, but it performs better
That's
than the
how we
US
get
dollar.
paid.
Yeah.
I want
No.
to know the payroll taxes on Bitcoin.
Well, we didn't. There was a whole. Yeah, it was too much. So we didn't do it. But I think a bigger, smarter company with a larger accounting team could probably figure that and does. I know a company that we've worked with that is doing that.
You don't know if they're doing it right. You just
I don't know if they're doing it right, but they're doing it. Their employees are getting Bitcoin annually. So
As a bonus?
yeah,
Dang, you get paid in virtual dollars.
no, they're getting paid, and they're
Right.
getting
Yeah, yeah.
bonused, and they're getting this Bitcoin benefit.
As a note, you are required to do payroll as U.S. dollars. So
Yes, if you're
Bitcoin
in the
would have to
States,
be
yeah.
if you're in the States. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a lot of international
It's probably like
listeners.
Oh,
from
come
a
on.
tax perspective.
We're-
it's,
We might be. I don't know.
We're
but-
throwing these things over. Yeah.
But, all that to say, there are things that can and will be done in the future around that space that
Absolutely.
that need to be considered probably.
So wrapping up, here are some challenges that AI has thrown out for us about considerations for future work. First is the ethics of AI. And I think for coding and stuff like that, it's very important to pay
You
attention.
have to write rules,
Absolutely.
compliance.
And for companies, I think it's a really good idea for you to write policies that help highlight how you expect
Yes.
AI to be used and where you expect it
Yes.
not to be used.
Preach, girl. Preach.
Absolutely. Number 2, mental health. So keep in mind some of the boundaries that we talked about in terms of remote work, and how individuals right now, it's almost like you have to be on 24/7. And that's not always going to give you the best outputs, right? The third is job displacement. So yes, automation might displace jobs, but how do you make sure that reskilling happens, upskilling happens, and that you prepare your workforce? Because you don't want to introduce tools or resources that make people feel like their jobs are at risk. You just want the jobs to be better and more focused
Right.
on what your company needs. Any comments on any of those?
No.
Okay.
No, I agree.
I think you did great. That was a very fun AI-driven popcorn sesh.
Well, they also prepared closing remarks. Are you
Oh,
ready?
here we go.
I keep calling AI they, like it's a whole group of people in my phone that are making these things happen. So just bear with me as
technically, I think
yeah, you
they
think?
would be a they.
Maybe. Okay. So in short, AI is taking over. That's what AI says. So
I believe him.
Thanks for
when
playing.
somebody tells you who they are the first time, you believe them. All right. So in short, AI has taken over. No one knows what fintech is, and you might need a side hustle delivering artisanal kombucha. If you want to stay ahead of the curve, keep tuning in, and remember, in the future, your boss might just be a hologram.
Is
Next week, here's our preview of our next episode. Should you consider moving to the metaverse? Spoiler alert, they still don't have pizza. All right. Well, thank
it
you.
kombucha?
Yeah. Yep.
It is
Kombucha.
did I say it wrong?
How did you say it?
I don't know. What did I say?
Jumanji.
Pneumonia.
All right. I think that's enough for today. Jimbot, close that file.
Thanks for listening to the Workforce Therapy Files. We hope you learned something new, and we're thankful for the time that you spent with us today. If there's a topic you'd like us to discuss, reach out to us. Our contact information's listed in the show notes. Until next time, keep your head up.